coverage without that cakey feeling. That and a fun 4th of July look featuring Saint's red-toned lip and cheeks and a fun little eye look. That's what we're talking about today. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sami George and I teach simple, natural looking makeup for the woman with real skin. So on these tutorials, you're gonna see the real deal. Redness, rosacea, melasma, dark under eyes, I have it all. And today feels like a great day to talk about how to get coverage without feeling cakey, because I made the mistake of going into the sun without sunscreen, and this extreme excess of color, plus the fact that if you have rosacea or some of the same skin concerns that I do, you know that when in heat, that color becomes more pronounced. So today we are gonna talk about how to use our all-in-one compact to get rid of this redness, to really tone it down and still have glowing, natural looking skin. And we're gonna incorporate this all into the 4th of July. Can you guys believe? Can you guys believe that June is already gone? I cannot. I blinked and it was over. But if you think today's video would be enjoyable and valuable, stick around and watch. As always, I'm grateful that you guys are here, and I would love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a thing. If you are new to my channel, like I said, my name is Sami and I teach this one compact makeup. And the cool thing about this, particularly if you have mature skin, you can wear a lightweight, breathable, long-lasting foundation without it having to be heavy. So if you want your skin to look like skin, you guys, this is it. Today I wanted to show you why I think a lot of people need a color corrector. So if you've been using Saint's foundation and you've been matched to a highlight shade for all over, a brightener for in the center of your face, and a contour, and you're like, it's great, but I feel like something's missing. What you are likely missing is what you do when you have this excess color in your skin. So I'm gonna show you the magic step that a lot of people skip or miss or aren't aware of, and that is actually adding a color corrector from our highlight line that is custom matched to you. I take care of the custom match for all of your foundation and contour shades so that you have the perfect match for your skin tone, but also the concerns that you have. Because let me show you, this right here is like my neutral foundation shade, and you'll see it's pretty close to this color right here. But the magic of Saint and why you don't have to wear one color of foundation all over is that we target the different points of your face and you apply that color where needed so you can wear less makeup, get beautiful coverage, and have your skin still look like skin. But this right here, you guys, this is my color corrector. And yes, we have a demi color correction line. That's really good for spot treatment. But if you have larger areas of discoloration and you're like, I don't have time to spot treat all of this, let me introduce you to color correcting with a highlight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this small end of my brush, I'm gonna tap like literally the smallest amount on there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at my face and be like, okay, where do I have this excess color on my skin? And I'm gonna start my 3D foundation with color correction. So right now I got a lot going on. I have darkness under my eyes and all I'm doing is dulling that out. Do you see how we're starting to dull that excess color? I have this spot of hyperpigmentation that's popping through really bad, this color right here. And again, this is a combination of me naturally having a dark under eye, already having redness, and then extrapolating that by not taking care of my skin in the sun. So if you've been using Saint and you're like, it is good for me 90% of the time, but I went and got sunburned, or some days my rosacea flares up and I don't want to just apply more. I think that's what people think is their only way of doing it, is to take more of this color and just apply heavier and heavier and heavier. And any foundation that you apply heavier and heavier and heavier is going to eventually look cakey. You're gonna like have that Mrs. Doubtfire look when she puts her face in the cake. That's why we can add in this one little step. And do you see how we're already toning that down? And when I'm not talking, this is super fast. But all I'm doing is taking the small end of my detail brush and like feathering this on to the areas that you see excess color on the skin. I'm gonna flip over to use a larger brush here on this area, because why not match my tool to my discoloration? But the thing is, if I use this all over, I would look like an Oompa Loompa. So what you do with your color corrector is, first of all, you trust me, because you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that looks wholly dark online, right? I get it. These tins are small, but mighty. So what I mean by mighty, they are all pigment. That's why this is a less is more application. and how you can get rid of the discoloration on your skin with just a little bit of makeup, because it's all pigment and it blends like a dream. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, okay, is it complicated? It's not, it's just different. It's just something different. And once you do it a couple times, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. So do you see how we have dulled down the discoloration from this side to this side with a color corrector? And now everything is closer to this shade, right? So let's see, where else do we have a little bit of excess? I have this hyperpigmentation here, and all I'm doing is pressing on a little bit more where I have that excess color. There we go, maybe a little bit more right here. And again, because I just got sunburn and I have rosacea, I have a lot going on right now. Darkest point of my face is my nose. That's why I did some color corrector on the dark points of my nose. I also have this scar right here, and then my chin is always super dark as well. So let's go to the other side, okay? This is the blush and bronzer brush. These are the two brushes that I recommend for all beginners, because you can take care of color correction, contouring, brightening, and get buildable coverage anywhere from light and natural all the way up to medium to full with just these tools, because your brushes are double-ended and the density of these bristles is dense enough to build up your coverage, but not so dense that you can't get a light coverage. And oftentimes people start with the 3D brush. And while the 3D brush is fine, it is my least favorite because I think it's what gives people the most problems, because it is so dense. So from the beginning, the number one thing that people struggle with this makeup is applying it differently than taking a liquid foundation and just kind of rubbing it with a beauty blender or a kabuki brush or something all over the face. You're really using these teeny tiny amounts, and the density of these two brushes really do you well. All right, so darkness under the eyes. We're good here. Let's see, we have a little bit of excess. So this is acne scarring, which also gets worse when you get excess sun. So now overall, we've toned down the redness in the face, and now our main foundation shade is so much closer to the all over color that I'm gonna get amazing coverage, and I don't have to wear a lot of it in order to match my skin tone and feel like, okay, I'm covered, but my skin still looks like skin. Now that we've toned down our redness, we're done with color corrector, we can go back in and just do our traditional highlight and contour, but we're gonna be able to use just a little bit of makeup. So this is my main highlight shade, which is what you're used to calling your foundation shade. And this is the one that most closely matches my skin tone. Again, the areas that weren't super red. So in order for this to actually match all over, that's why we target that discoloration first. And now my face can match my neck, and I don't have that discoloration popping through, but it still looks like my skin. And all I'm doing is one little tap on the brush, because this is lightweight, but basically all pigment. You don't need much at all. And I can build it up to whatever coverage level I want. We'll do like close, maybe like a medium coverage today. And you'll see it's one tap, and I'm just dispersing it over as much of my face as I can to like the coverage level. I can just go in wherever I want and build it up to a little bit more. But this is why it's buildable. I could tap in and I could go a little bit more, but I don't have to. So since it starts out as a very light coverage, and it's really just dependent on how much you apply, you can have whatever coverage level you like. And it is important to note, I do put this over top of my color corrector and anywhere else that I want coverage. This color alone, it's too warm. Remember I told you if I put this all over, I would look like an Oompa Loompa? It's the combination of this color with my main shade on top that gives me my ideal tone for my face when I'm trying to get rid of that excess color. So after we do our main shade, we can go in and contour. And I am using a cool contour. I'm just using the side of the brush. And the reason I'm using a cool contour, what contour is for, it is here to frame the face and keep us from looking really flat. from like you just have one dimension to your face. That's why this is called Saints 3D, three-dimensional foundation. We're just enhancing where we naturally have shadows. Like when I look forward right now, I have like this natural shadow here. But the goal with highlight and contour is that when I move, I still have that shadow, right? So you're just matching the natural shadows that you have. And the reason that I will also match you not only to your main foundation shades and a color corrector if you need it, but also to your contour is because if I were to use a really warm, like red-based contour right now, all it would do is exacerbate the red that I already have underneath. So I'm gonna use something that's pretty ashy. I'm using our ashiest contour, because again, contour is meant to frame the face. When you wanna warm your face up, you use bronzer. Contour creates that dimension in the areas where we naturally have a shadow. So around the perimeter of the forehead, the cheekbones, underneath the jawline. This will help hide jowls, keep your jawline nice and snatched down the neck. It's really hard to talk. And then you can even do the nose and under the lip if you like. I'm gonna skip those for today so we can get to our red swatches and our look. All right, what is left? All that's left is your brightening highlight. Your brightening highlight is like what you're used to calling concealer, except we're not concealing, we're brightening. I took care of my discoloration with my color corrector. I'm brightening to add light to the center of my face because makeup is the game of light and dark. If we put contour on the perimeter, it pulls the face back. That's how you get that lifted look to your face. And then we add brightness here in the center so that when somebody looks at you, they're drawn to this portion of your face because this is where things are light and bright, right? You look excited and awake, and in this area of your face, things are drawn back so everything looks a little bit more slimmer and a little bit more sculpted. And because these are creams, they're going to blend together seamlessly. Like you don't have to worry about perfect placement. The only thing that really matters is that you color correct your discoloration, and then after you put on your color corrector, you only press. If we go like this, we're gonna move our color corrector around and essentially just blend it into our main shade. So we always press our makeup on after we do our color corrector. But if you wanna brighten first or do your contour first, it's really a matter of preference. And if you watch the different videos on my channel, or if you go over to my Instagram or Facebook, you'll see I like to teach all the different ways so you can really find your rhythm and decide what you like the most. And today's look, you guys, is actually from a vote done in our private Facebook group. So I will drop the link to our private Facebook group. Come hang out. That's where I did a little this or that. What do you want to see for the 4th? And that's where we have today's look from. But think about 3D foundation like this. Imagine you put an ice cube on the counter. It starts out as a solid, right? And then it starts to melt and it just kind of diffuses out. Well, think of your highlight and contour as a couple of different ice cubes that sit next to each other. And as they start to diffuse, the edges start to melt together and you have this one seamless overall look. So it, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because the edges are just gonna melt together really seamlessly anyways. Your order of operations, none of that matters, except if you're using a color corrector, you start there first. Now, to keep this from ever looking cakey, heavy, creasing in my fine lines and wrinkles, and to give it that Photoshop finish without a filter, that's when you need to use your Perfector sponge. I swear by the Perfector, it's an absolute game changer for your makeup for a couple reasons. One, you're gonna see how this is going to just blend any of those lines that we have. Like right now, we need to blend this together, and I'm just pressing to make sure that everything melts together really seamlessly. Right here, down the nose, and here's the other thing. The other super important job this does, it's what saves you from having a heavy hand because it removes excess. My dog got a hold of this. We did some major sanitation, but I think it's time to buy a new one. So I highly recommend, especially when you're new to cream foundation, that you get the Perfector sponge. If you have a really good beauty blender and you want to try it, go for it. But the tools do matter. You guys, Saint brushes are meant for Saint makeup. This is a cream foundation. These are synthetic fiber brushes, and the density is specifically meant for creams. Powder brushes, you are not going to like your application. They're just not even close to the same. If you have some other cream foundation brushes that you want to try, you can go for it. But if you're having issues with your application, go back to your color match and pick up the brushes that were recommended for you, because I recommend the brushes based on what you tell me you want your makeup to look like, because I match women that just want to even out their skin tone all the way up to women who prefer like full, I want to look like I'm wearing makeup every day. So I pick your brushes accordingly. So that's it. Look at the coverage that we got. My skin still looks like skin. I can still see it. My goal is never to not be able to see my skin, but it is to reduce the things that bother me. And man, the redness and the excess hyperpigmentation were like crazy bothersome to me right now. But you'll see now my face matches my neck and my neck matches my chest. Like now we don't have that floating head look. And that's the beauty of being able to customize your shades. And listen, if you want to pick up a different shade in the summer, like I am much lighter than this in the winter. This tin is only $16. You can customize your makeup for the seasons by just popping your tins in and out. It's magnetized and customized to you. And by getting a color match, you'll know what you need, and I'll send you a step-by-step guide as to how to apply it to get the look that you want. So this makes up your foundation: a color corrector, a main highlight, a contour, and a brightener. All make up your foundation because they all have coverage. After we do our coverage steps, we pop our perfector on there to make sure that we don't have anything sitting on the skin that leaves us with excess in our fine lines and wrinkles. Everything is now blended. So what I like to do at this step, especially in the summer, is I do like to set my makeup. Cream makeup doesn't set. It will always be emollient, hydrating, and blendable. So like I could come back in an hour and still like blend something out. It's not like liquid where if you don't get to it fast, then it's gonna dry and you can't work with it. You can always work with your makeup. But I do like to set certain areas. And this is my Vanilla Dust setting powder and my powder brush. And in the summer, this is where I get the sweatiest. So I'm going to reduce, you see how we are reducing some of the glow that we get in the areas where I'm prone to sweating, which is my T-zone. And then I like to set any areas where I would possibly crease. Makeup's always gonna move to the lowest point on your face. So by using your perfector and making sure you don't have anything sitting in your fine lines and wrinkles, and then setting that area, you can take your creasing down to a minimum. I like to set under my eyes. Again, it's just one little tap into the powder. I'm gonna use that to set the whole under eye. Press and press. Now we have that nice blurring finish. So if you have large pores, you can go into your pores area, but the rest of my face still has that luminosity and glow. Since this is customized to me, I always have a bronzer in my palette, and that's what I use the other end of my blush and bronzer brush for, is to add a little bit of that glow. And I need very little right now because I'm already pretty tan, but I just like the contrast between the cool contour and a little bit of that warmth in the skin. And if you ever feel like your neck is too light, because usually our chin sticks out over our neck and our neck stays pretty light, you can add a little bit of bronzer down the neck and everything will match again really easily. So after we perfect, then we go into the products that are sheer, like our bronzer, our lip and cheek, and our illuminators. Since we're doing a 4th of July look, I put up the poll in my Facebook stories or in my Facebook beauty page as to what colors people wanted to see, what combination color, and the color that won for lip and cheek for today is Royal. But I wanted to take this opportunity to show you all of the different reds so you could kind of decide like what is your red vibe. So we're starting with the glosses, and this gloss is Pop, and it is a super pretty red. It has like an orange base to it, and it can also be worn really sheer. Again, just like your face is buildable, so are your lip and cheeks. So you'll see like some of these colors look so dark in the tin, they're not. So this is Royal, you'll see how dark it looks, but really it's just going to give me like that burgundy wine red color. And I can build it up if I want it to be a little bit more. So first we have Pop, then we have Royal, and they're sheared out. Now we have the scariest one of them all online, and this is Black Cherry. One of my first loves was Black Cherry. And you'll see this one has a little bit more of that berry undertone. So this one's gonna be more wine red. And black cherry is going to be more of that berry color. Now, if you've been around Saint for a while, you know that we have had lots of limited edition shades. So I wanted to show you Ever Red in case you have Ever Red in your palette or it ever comes back. It's close to Pop, but it has more of a berry undertone where Pop has more of an orange undertone. So you'll see how you can wear these sheared out. And these are all glosses, so they're going to give you more of that shine, and our glosses are typically less pigmented than our satin shades. A couple exceptions to that rule. Now, I wanted to show you our satin shades, but first I'm gonna show you a semi-gloss. This is also one that was limited edition, but in case you have it, this is Cherry. Cherry was from the Fruit Punch collection, which came out for the Customer Appreciation Party last July. So set your calendars, you guys. I'm gonna put a link to my newsletter in the description and the comments below if you wanna get on my newsletter so you don't miss anything. July 22nd, I believe, is going to be Customer Appreciation Party and Day here at Saint. And these were scented. They are like, they remind you of lip smackers from your youth, but this one was a semi-gloss. So we have Pop, Royal, Black Cherry, Ever Red, and Cherry. Let's move on to our satin shade. So satin is what you're used to calling matte. These are going to be more pigmented, and they are not going to leave the same dewy finish, and you'll see. Check that out. Again, totally buildable. It can be worn very sheer or built up, but this one right here is Saffron. After Saffron, we have Sangria. So you'll see, Saffron is more of a true red. Sangria is gonna have a little bit more of that berry undertone to it. And then we have our girl Scarlet, which is going to be more of that orange base. So whatever your preference is in the reds, and typically if you're somebody who has a lot of warmth in the skin and you feel like when you wear red, everything looks more orange, then you wanna stick with reds that are berry based as opposed to orange based. So again, we have Saffron, Sangria, and Scarlet. The question is, will I make it through this video without getting all of these all over my sweatshirt? I guess we're gonna find out, right? Okay, so from Facebook, the color that was selected for our 4th of July look is Royal. So let me show you. We are going to use that same brush, the blush and bronzer brush, and I'm just going to tap in to a little bit, and remember, everything is buildable. So I like to go 2 fingers away from the nose and up the nose contour line. So we're creating a little fullness here, and then we are going up our contour line to make sure that we have a lifted look. So we create fullness so that you can see the color when we look forward. But again, because we're not one-dimensional and we're gonna be moving around, we wanna make sure that we pull this up the contour line, and you can build it again to whatever depth you prefer. And this is pretty much living in that bronzer area. Again, your colors blend together like ice cubes on a counter really beautifully. So you don't have to worry about exact placement. I do like to make sure, again, 2 fingers out, outside apple of the cheek, and up the contour line gives me both that color when I look forward and that dimension when I look, and it keeps everything lifted. So your gloss, a gloss lip and cheek, is gonna give you more of that illumination. When you turn, you're gonna see that extra glow. If you're somebody who prefers more of a matte look, then just select one of our satins and you can build it up to whatever level you like. Now I'm gonna take the multitasker, and I'm actually just gonna take my contour and I'm gonna line the lips, and then we're gonna do Royal. And I'll show you how you can do it nice and sheer, or you can build it up to something that looks like a little bit more pop. Because I have small, really thin lips, just that little bit of contour or your favorite lip liner will help kind of frame and define your lips so they'll look a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna flip over my multitasker, and let's start with just a little bit like of a wash. See how pretty? Like it looks like, these look like they're gonna be so scary and have so much like opacity in the tin, but you can get just that little pop, or then you can go back in and we can make it darker. Totally your preference. And there we go. That is our full 3D foundation look. We haven't done an illuminator yet because I'm gonna save that because it was part of the rest of the look. But there is everything, all your stuff in one compact, even our eyeshadows, which is the next part of our 4th of July look. I came in a little bit closer so that while we do our eye makeup, you can really see, like my goal is always to teach you. I feel like there's so many people that are like super quick doing tutorials and you're like, ooh, I wonder if I could do that. You buy a couple products and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. My goal is always to teach you how to use your makeup to get whatever finish and look you want, even if that look changes. So again, on Facebook, the look that was selected was Miha with Glamazing, which is a powder illuminator. For those of you that are used to like highlighters in the makeup world, that's what this is. We call our makeup highlights, so we call our highlighter an illuminator. And I typically use a cream illuminator on the face because it's a little bit more forgiving. Like all creams are more forgiving than powder, right? Have you ever put on like a powder bronzer or a powder blush and like it hits the face and you're like, oh, I can't even blend this out? That's why I love cream illuminators. But for today's look, we're gonna use our powder illuminator on the eye. I'm gonna dust it for our highlighter. We're gonna use the eyeshadow shades that were picked out. And the other part was our Black Friday cream eyeliner. Not included in the look on Facebook, this is basic. Now, I have a hooded eye, so I need to carve out the crease of my eye or you will not be able to see my eyeshadows. So when I look forward, I need that transition shade, which I pick a medium tone matte shade and I put it above the actual crease, which is right here. So that when my eye is open, you can see my eyeshadow. And then I windshield wiper back and forth. I did already lift my brows. I just realized I forgot to put eye primer on. Oh, geez Louise. We're gonna have to make it work. I did sweep a little bit of my foundation across, but I like to put an eye primer down before that. I like to set my eye anytime I have a color corrector on there or an eye primer with some setting powder because it makes the blend easier. So I'm gonna like squeeze this in here and we're just gonna have to make that work. Okay. Back to that. So we're using basic, which is just this neutral shade to carve out the eye, and I'm putting a little bit here in the outer corner. Again, look forward. Make sure you can see your eyeshadow when your eye is open. Back and forth, creating that new crease that's on the base of your hood. Tap, tap, get excess off. Now I can tilt my head back a little bit just to make sure it's in the actual crease. But if I only tilt my head back and put it in the crease, then when I close my eye, you won't be able to see it. So you need to make sure that you can see this shade right here, your transition shade, when your eye is open. I go into the outer corner again. This helps build up depth, but it also makes your eye look really like continuous. There's no harsh starting and stopping point. So now we've carved out our eye. The same way we contour the face, we contour the eye. And now I'm gonna take our girl Glamazing, and I'm just going to press this onto the lid. Okay, this will be super fun for the 4th. And you will see any of our powder illuminators can absolutely be used as an eyeshadow. So they will do double duty and they're twice the size of our eyeshadows. Again, even your eyeshadows are customized to you, so you only pick out what you like. When you have a hooded eye, keep that medium tone matte shade in the crease and up on the hood, and then you can put something light and bright onto the lid, and it's gonna cause the light to catch the lid, especially if it has a shimmer or a glitter in it, and it will reflect. So people will be drawn more to the lid than the hood. Now I'm just gonna make sure that we are blended, tilting my head back, put nothing new on the brush, just using that same brush. Okay, so let's move on to the fun part. Guys, this is Mija. Mija is this vibrant pink, but again, can be worn sheer if you like. And Mija is actually part of our foster care collection. So anytime you purchase Mija, all proceeds go to our foster care awareness foundation, which is awesome. So now I'm gonna take the small end of my brush first. I'm gonna tap a little on and get rid of the excess. And I'm actually going to go up into that outer corner. And I'm just gonna build up a little bit of depth where I put that basic. Because this is matte, I'm putting it a little bit up there on the hood. Now I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna tap a little bit on the side. I'm gonna press that into the outer corner. And this is how you start to give your eye that upturned look. It's how you create depth. By adding something deeper to the outer corner. Remember, your eyes are sisters, not twins, so they're never gonna match exact. Now, let's do that circular motion with this light fluffy brush inward. So it's gonna start to blend with that glazing. And I'm gonna blend, make sure we get it up onto this outer third of the brow bone. Isn't that a fun, like just a little pop on the eyes for the 4th, and it's not so intense that you can't wear something red on the lip and the cheeks. Like overall, that's just a fun, beautiful, really simple 4th of July look. Now, let's go back into basic. Make sure that our eye is adequately carved out and that we have a good blend. Blending is always the key to really liking your eye look. So if you ever feel like anything looks too harsh or one color is stopping and another one is starting, just go back to your transition shade and make sure that everything is like contiguous, if you will. Before I put on my eyeliner, I wanted to show you guys, if you ever feel like you get a little messy out here, the goal with eyeshadow is always to keep your eye turned up. So you want it to go from the outer lashes to the outside of your eyebrow. So you can just take a little bit of either your brightener or your main highlight shade. It really doesn't matter. And I'm lightly just cleaning that up. You see how that kind of carved that out and sculpted, gave it more of that upturned look? I'm just taking a little bit, that's my main shade. Just going from the outside of my lashes to the outside of my brow. I was less messy over here. But now everything remains up. Instead of those circular motions sometimes cause it to come down. We clean that up real easy. All right, let's do some eyeliner and mascara. As I said before, I already lifted my brows. I use Saint's Brow Wax with this side, the spoolie, and just lift everything up so that I get my eyes framed, but also as much lid space as possible. But on the other side is what I'm gonna use for my Black Friday cream eyeliner, and I'm just kind of tapping this in. And now, I have a hooded eye, so I don't do a ton of eyeliner, like thick along the lash line. What I like to do instead is pull this just a little bit taut, and I like to run this right above and into my lashes. Running it into the lashes, first of all, is gonna make them look fuller. So you can still have a fuller, more defined lash line without giving up a lot of lid space, which is the issue. If you have a hooded eye, you don't want to compromise lid space. And I like to go just to where my pupil starts. I'm just running it through the lash line until they look fuller. Now, on the outer third from the outside of my pupil out, that's where I like to draw a little bit of eyeliner on the eye. And here's the thing. Don't follow your eye down. Go out a little bit. If we follow our eye down, it'll pull our eye look down. Go out. We're not even talking about a wing here. It's the babiest of baby wings. But here's the key. Tap, tap. Go to the bottom create some depth into your lash line there, but use your lash line on the bottom to know where to pull your eyeliner up. So you see now how we have just that little bit of a liner above, and then you can connect it. And now you have a wing that pulls things up and is really soft, but your eye look goes this way versus this way. And then I'm gonna take one more tool. I like to use our etch brush. It has this flat end, and I just like to smudge this. I don't want any of it to look harsh. I'm just gonna diffuse it. Kind of help connect this part right here. So we have that slight upturn with our eye. We have thicker looking lashes. We framed the eye versus over here. And I'm gonna take the other end of the etch brush and I'm gonna go back into basic, tap off the excess, and I'm going to halo underneath the lash line. And here's what it's gonna do. Instead of using mascara or eyeliner down there, not mascara, I'm gonna use mascara. Instead of using eyeliner, which tends to age me, I kept my eyeliner to the outer third just to help sculpt that out. This will give me more of a diffused look. It'll still define the eye a little bit, but it will also set the cream closest to my lash line to prevent my mascara from running. Okay, I'm gonna go do this eye and we'll be right back. Finishing up our eye look with my lash growth mascara. So we're done on this side. Guys, this is the lash growth mascara all-in-one that I have been using. It is lash growth without the discoloration on your eyelid. So if you have sparse lashes and you have tried a lash growth serum that goes on your eyelid and it discolored your eyelid, that was me. And then I found this after stopping that, because I'm like, it can't be good if it's discoloring, my lash line. I read horror stories about people who like lash serums on the skin also discolored their eye. I was like, oh, we should stop that right now. But I have really sparse lashes, so my lashes started to fall out again. So when I found this, I was like, oh, I definitely need to try that. It is a double-ended wand, so you get both fullness and you get your lashes fanned out in one product. It's a tubing mascara, so it puts little tubes around your actual lashes, helping them hold the curl. So I did curl them with an eyelash curler first. And then it's water resistant. So if your lashes are already falling out and you use a waterproof mascara, then you have to work really hard to get it off. This comes off with warm water and slightly rubbing your lashes between your finger without actually pulling them off. And I have seen, I think it's been close to 10 months now, huge success. And it's less than half the price of the products that I was using before. Because before I was using a serum, a primer, and 2 different mascaras because I like the 2 different wands, and this is less than half of that altogether. So I'll put it down in the description below and you can check it out. But it's called Quadra. And it's lovely. So there's our eye look. I think you guys picked an amazing combination. Remember to join our Facebook group. I'm gonna show you Glamazing as a highlighter and we'll be done. When it comes to powder illuminator, I said highlighter because that's what it's called in the traditional makeup world. When it comes to our powder illuminators, you wanna use a fluffy brush. If you use anything too dense, it's gonna be like you're going to an 80s party, okay? But I'm just going to tap a little bit on the side. I'm gonna tap off the excess and I'm gonna wash this back and forth for a little bit of glow right here. Look how pretty that is. Maybe we'll do a little more. So typically I use a cream illuminator, but this is the payoff that you get with a powder illuminator. And this is also, isn't that so pretty on the Cupid's bow? What I used on the eyes today. And you can add a little illumination down the nose. And you guys, this is how you get coverage without being cakey. This is our 4th of July look, super fun. Went over all of our red shades. If you guys need a color match, again, in the description or in the comments. And that's it. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you next week.